when I gave the commencement address to the class of 2011, I had thought at the time, if 10% of the kids listen, that'll be an accomplishment. Well, I started off with, it took me 6 years to graduate from school.
It took me 6 years to complete a 4-year degree.
After my sophomore year, I was no longer allowed to live on campus.
In my sophomore year, I was asked by the assistant dean of students to no longer live on campus. It's true.
And second semester of my junior year, I got a 1.8. And it's interesting, it's like all the beach balls, everything stopped. And people started to listen. I was fortunate to have very good parents who focused a lot on values. They were big on encouraging independent thinking. And I like to say the ability to think independently is a lot more rare than being smart. And my dad used to always say, be a leader, not a follower. And my mom always used to say, think for yourself. And I have to say, as a kid, it's irritating to hear because you keep hearing it. However, when you find out how true it is when you become an adult, that comes in very handy. So what was one of my kind of memories or accomplishments that kind of stuck with me through that whole thing? Actually getting a degree, because that degree was more difficult to get than I ever thought. And I was just so eager to get started in the world that it took me 6 years to get something done that should have only taken 4. So I do the UNH commencement speech for 2011, and one of my buddies from back then reached out to me and said, hey, they'd like to go. And I said, yeah, of course, I'd love to have you there. So about 7 of them came to the commencement speech, and then we had like a little get-together afterwards. And it was tremendous because from that point on, we started having an annual reunion. And those friendships, it's amazing how easily they get rekindled. One of the phrases I've always disliked is this whole idea of keeping it real. And I've always thought that was a way to really suppress people's initiative. And what you really want to do is be able to explain to people, look at all the things that are possible. Look at all the things that you could do. And that whole idea that I don't have to stick within whatever socioeconomic class I was born into, that doesn't have to be my life. It's one of the things that I love about the United States. I loved about growing up in New Hampshire. I was in a, let's say, pretty secluded environment is what I grew up in. And look at where I ended up. And wouldn't have been possible without being able to go to a place like the University of New Hampshire to get a degree and see what is possible.